The African savanna awakens beneath a silver dawn light, where subtle shifts ripple through every species. Predators pause in their tracks, herds tighten their formation, and birds settle with a sudden, heavy purpose. This is not the familiar fear of a hunter on the prowl, but a collective recognition of an ancient force. The land itself seems to prepare, sensing the arrival of a presence that alters the rhythm of life without uttering a single sound. It is a moment of profound anticipation, where the wind holds its breath and the golden grass stands still. From the thick mist emerges the rhinoceros, moving with a pace that is slow, deliberate, and entirely unchallenged. His power is not a dominance achieved through pursuit or aggression, but an authority granted through the sheer weight of his existence. Unlike the lion's terrifying roar or the leopard's calculated stealth, the rhino commands a total and absolute silence. Each step he takes resonates like a ritual drum against the earth, reminding the savanna of an era far older than human memory. He is a living monument to endurance, a ghost of the prehistoric past walking in the modern world. Alongside this massive form of the mother walks a calf, small, curious, and incredibly vulnerable. In the harsh reality of the savanna, youth is always an invitation to danger, a flickering light that draws the eyes of the hungry. Distant eyes notice the calf's unsteady gait, and the instinct of the predator begins to sharpen in the shadows. The presence that once silenced the land now becomes the center of a fragile equation where the need for protection and the drive for survival collide. This is the duality of the wild, where greatness is often tethered to the most delicate of lives. Boundaries are soon tested as a pride of lions begins to circle. Their movements a calculated dance of risk and reward. The response from the mother is immediate and absolute, leaving no room for negotiation or hesitation. She charges with a speed that defies her massive frame, driven not by a blind rage, but by a profound sense of responsibility. Dust erupts into the air as the space between mother and predator collapses in an instant, and her resolve overwhelms the hunger of the cats. The predators are forced to retreat, reminded once again that some forces in this world do not hunt, yet they remain entirely untouchable. Beyond these moments of high-stakes confrontation, the rhinoceros plays a much deeper role as an architect of the entire ecosystem. His constant feeding opens up pathways through the dense brush, allowing smaller creatures to navigate the landscape. The wallows he creates in the mud eventually become sanctuaries for a variety of species during the dry season. Birds, antelope, elephants, and even scavengers all find themselves benefiting from his quiet, persistent labor. The rhino does not stand as an isolated giant, but as a keystone upon which the delicate balance of the entire wilderness depends. When another rhinoceros enters the domain, there is no sudden ambush or chaotic brawl, but rather a formal acknowledgement of strength. Two ancient masses advance toward one another, eventually colliding in a test of endurance rather than a display of fury. The resulting clash is slow, thunderous, and deeply ceremonial, echoing across the plains like the shifting of tectonic plates. Eventually, one individual yields, acknowledging the superior position of the other without the need for a fight to the death. Order is restored to the territory, and the savanna seems to exhale as the tension dissipates. As the sun begins its long descent toward the horizon, the rhinoceros remains unmoved, looking like an embodiment of resilience carved by the hands of time. He does not feel the need to declare his power through showy displays or aggressive posturing. He simply is power, a living relic of prehistoric endurance, standing among the famous Big Five. His status is not earned through the violence of the hunt, but through an indomitable calm that few other creatures can hope to achieve. He watches the world change around him, himself a constant in an ever-shifting sea of grass. Elsewhere, the dawn reveals a different kind of potential in the form of a lion cub named Makulu, who is set apart by his quiet observation. Within a peaceful and thriving pride, Makulu is the one who watches the world rather than engaging in the boisterous play of his siblings. His stillness is not a sign of weakness, but a hint at a future path shaped by deep awareness and tactical restraint. While others test their claws on each other, he tests his mind against the movements of the environment. He is a student of the wind and the shadows, preparing for a life that will demand more than just muscle. Threat eventually arrives in the wild without a moment of warning, as rival males descend upon the territory to claim it as their own. The chaos of the takeover forces the pride to flee, and in the frantic scramble for safety, Makulu is left behind. He finds himself alone in a vast and indifferent savannah, a small life in a world that rarely shows mercy to the solitary. Instead of giving in to panic, he survives through a mask of silence and a refusal to be seen. Solitude becomes his most demanding teacher, stripping away the comforts of the pride and replacing them with the cold reality of self-reliance. Time begins to reshape Makulu, turning the soft edges of a cub into the hardened frame of a survivor. Hunger, constant danger, and the necessity of patience serve to sharpen his instincts until they are as keen as his teeth. He learns to read the land like a map of opportunities, moving with a specific intent and avoiding the spectacle of unnecessary conflict. He discovers that leadership does not begin with the ability to command others, but with the capacity for inner composure. He is forging a soul that can withstand the weight of a kingdom, tempered by the isolation of the plains. When Makulu finally encounters other unfamiliar males, there is no immediate display of dominance or a fight for rank. Instead, there is a mutual recognition of strength and a shared understanding of the hardships they have all endured. In the coordinated hunts that follow, his steady rhythm and silent decisions begin to guide the group towards success. Without any grand proclamation or roar of ego, he becomes the axis around which the others naturally begin to move. The legend of the Mapogo coalition begins here, born from the mind of a lion who learned to lead by first learning to listen. The narrative now shifts northward to the Luangwa Valley in Zambia, a land where the sun is a tyrant and the drought has tightened its grip. Water vanishes from the traditional pools, leaving behind only cracked earth and the desperate hope for rain. Life in the valley begins to compress, forcing enemies into closer proximity than they would ever choose. In this environment, every single mistake is paid for in blood, and the margin for error disappears entirely. Both predators and prey move under a relentless pressure, governed by the harsh laws of scarcity and the weight of consequence. Solitary lion in this valley faces the ultimate trial of his existence as he hunts, fails, and is forced to adapt or perish. Each failed attempt at a kill sharpens his instinct, teaching him the value of the perfect moment over the impulse of the chase. Survival in this landscape is a process of constant refinement, where the weak are quickly weeded out by the heat and the hunger. It becomes clear that strength alone is insufficient to guarantee a future in the Luangwa. Only those with the resilience to endure the unendurable will see the return of the green grass. In the heat of the drought, rival males clash in a brutal struggle for the right to carry on their lineage. Blood marks the yellow grass as they fight with a desperation that only the end of the world can inspire. Victory in these battles grants more than just a piece of territory. It secures the genetic future of the victor. The females watch these displays from a distance, choosing protection and stability over the hollow spectacle of aggression. Power is measured by what can be successfully defended against all odds, not just by what can be taken in a moment of violence.
exhausted.
Amidst this
solitary male
turmoil,
rests.
a lioness gives
The
birth
failed
in the
hunt
deepest
teaches a
secrecy,
brutal lesson.
tucked away in a
Adapt
hidden
or
thicket.
perish under
The cubs
relentless
arrive as
sun.
fragile sparks of life in a world that seems determined to snuff them out. Outside her hiding spot, hyenas test the perimeter, their chilling laughter a constant reminder of the danger that lurks just feet away. The lioness stands as a living barricade between her children and the teeth of the night. Their survival is a price paid every day in the currency of violence, constant vigilance, and the ultimate spirit of sacrifice. The setting shifts once more, moving to the burning sands of Namibia, a place often referred to as the Desert of Ghosts. Here, desert-adapted lions emerge from the dunes, appearing leaner, tougher, and significantly wiser than their cousins on the plains. In this vast emptiness, the abundance of the savannah is replaced by staggering distances, and force is replaced by the virtue of patience. Survival in the Namib is not a sprint, but a long and grueling walk between the cooling shadows of the rocks. It is a place where the sun consumes everything, and only the most disciplined can survive. When a giraffe finally falls in the desert, it is an event that draws life from miles away, starting with the vultures circling in the high thermals. Nothing is allowed to go to waste in a land where calories are as precious as water itself. The lions feed with a grim efficiency, followed by the scavengers who pick the bones clean until only white calcium remains. In this harsh environment, death feeds life with a ruthless and necessary logic. The balance of the desert is maintained not by acts of mercy, but by the relentless continuity of the food chain.
Brush gently around the edges. I think this one connects right here.
Okay, I've got it. Let me document the coordinates.
Watch the vultures,
Ancient
they're getting
paths,
closer.
etched into the desert floor over centuries, guide herds of elephants across the dunes toward hidden sources of water. Their incredible endurance mirrors the brutality of the land they call home, a testament to the power of memory and family. These giants move like gray mountains against the orange sand, their footsteps silent despite their enormous weight. But even these titans of the desert can falter when the heat becomes too great or the distances too long. The desert does not care for the history or the majesty of those who walk upon it. At a lonely desert waterhole, a moment of distraction leads to tragedy as a young elephant calf strays too far from the protection of its mother. The lions strike with a swiftness that leaves no room for rescue, their hunger finally finding a target. The kill is inevitable, a cold reality of the desert's demand for life to sustain life. The elephant herd mourns in a way that is visible to any observer, standing in a somber circle as the silence of loss echoes across the sand. Yet, even in the depths of their grief, the journey must continue if the rest of the herd is to survive. As the dusk settles over the varied landscapes of Africa, the earth holds both the weight of grief and the spark of persistence. Life does not pause for sorrow, nor does the sun delay its rising for those who have fallen in the night. Across the golden savannah, the drying rivers of Zambia, and the shifting sands of Namibia, the story of survival writes itself endlessly. It is a story told through the medium of power, the strategy of silence, the strength of resilience, and the inevitability of blood. The cycle remains unbroken, a testament to the enduring spirit of the wild. The life of the rhinoceros and the journey of Makulu offer us a mirror into our own existence, if we are willing to look. We learn that true authority does not come from the loudest voice, but from the quiet consistency of our character and our presence. Like the rhino, we can choose to be architects of our own environments, creating space for others to thrive through our own steady labor. Like Makulu, we can find strength in our moments of isolation, using solitude not as a prison, but as a forge to temper our resolve. Survival is not just about the strength of our hands, but the composure of our minds when the world around us turns to chaos. Thank you for journeying with us through the dust and the shadows of the African wilderness today. If these stories of survival and ancient power moved you, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the wild. Share this story with those who need a reminder of their own inner strength.
Lessons applicable everywhere. A mirror offered to humanity. Subscribe for more stories of survival and ancient power.